Have you ever gone on a diet? Chances are at one point or another you have. A lot of people have. So, with all the millions, I don't know about millions, there's a lot of diets out there, but with all the diets out there, don't you think if they worked, there'd be more, I don't know, success when it comes to fitness? Well, I'm diving into the big fallacy with diets. So strap in, get ready for episode 227. Let's go.
The future of fitness.
How do you gain muscle mass?
Fitness is not complicated. It's simple when you break it down.
There's so much information out there.
No fads, no diets, just plain simple habits.
You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody. Welcome to the show. If this is your first time listening, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I try to really break down fitness into simple bite-sized chunks. They're just short and sweet 10-minute episodes for the most part. And for my return listeners, thank you for coming back. It means the world to me that you continue to tune in and hopefully just make your journey a little bit easier. With that being said, if you have not grabbed your free meal plan, head on over to bonestobulk.com/free meal plan and grab that. And I will link that in the show notes. With that being said, let's dive in. So when it comes to, diets, there's, let's see how many I can name off the top of my head. There's paleo, there's keto, there's carnivore, remember the Atkins diet, which is pretty much just keto now, kind of modified. I mean, I don't know. There's so many diets. There's diets where you only eat vegetables, diets where you don't eat anything that comes from animal products, vegan. There is, where you only eat fish. So there's a lot of different things out there, and all of them promise you the world. They do. They're like, you will become successful and fit and happier, and the list goes on and on and on if you just get on this diet. And what happens is, people will go on a diet and usually they do see results. When you go on a diet, like there's people I know who they've started a diet and they do get some quick results when they go on it. Then what happens though is they get off the diet, and then what? Like, that's the problem with the diets. That's the biggest fallacy. Diets don't teach you how to sustain healthy living. They teach you, hey, do this for a few weeks, but then what? Then you're just thrown back out there to the wolves, and you go back in the grocery store and you're like, well, I don't really know what to buy other than what I used to buy. And all the weight comes back, sometimes even more. And so it can be a really dangerous place to get into. So that is why I am not a fan of diets. Now, with that being said, like I said, if you find one that, well, let me preface this. There's some diets that I do not think are healthy, such as keto. I know that's not a popular opinion because keto is all the rage right now. People are pretty passionate about keto, I've discovered. Like, whenever I try to explain about like how carbs are good, I've discovered that a lot of people don't like carbs. A lot of people. At least they say they don't. Here's the problem with keto. And again, it works. I've seen people lose a lot of weight very quickly on keto. And then I've seen those same people gain it all back, plus some, and they're in worse shape than when they started. And in all reality, if you never want to eat a carb again, well, I mean, that doesn't sound like a very happy life to me. Plus, I find that when I eat really good, healthy carbs, because don't get me wrong, there are a lot of crappy carbs out there. When I eat a lot of good carbs, I have more energy. I just feel better throughout my day. So I am a big proponent of eating the right kinds of carbs. Now, why do diets work? Well, because when you start any diet is designed to put you in a calorie deficit. So, for example, since we're talking keto, let's just use that for example. And this applies across the board. Whether you're doing carnivore, whether you're doing keto, whatever it is, typically you are eating in a calorie deficit. When you go in keto, if you cut out all carbs, you are naturally going to lower drastically the amount of calories you're consuming. Because the majority of, I would say for sure, Americans, I don't know about diets in other countries, but the majority of our food comes from fat and carbs. The majority of it, like the things that we eat on a daily basis, most of it is very, very high in carbs. So naturally, when we cut all that out, we're drastically reducing our overall calorie consumption, which that is what is causing the weight loss. It's not the fact that you're not eating carbs. It's the fact that you are eating in a deficit, and that's how you lose weight. I don't care what diet you're on. You technically, and I do not recommend this, but you technically could lose weight eating only Oreos and nothing else if you're only eating enough to maintain a deficit. Like if you're only eating maybe one sleeve a day, I don't even know how many calories is in an Oreo. Oreos. So don't take my word on that. But the point is, if you're eating in a deficit and only eating Oreos, you're probably still going to lose weight. You're also going to be really unhealthy. So again, I don't recommend the Oreo diet. Probably be pretty popular though, huh? All right, so that being said, it's a deficit. That's all it comes down to. So if you're confused, you're like, I don't know, food, I don't know what's healthy, I don't know what's not healthy. Here's some basic steps that you can start taking. Number one, decrease your portion sizes. Even if you're not eating the best foods, decreasing your portion sizes is naturally going to lower your overall calories, which is going to begin that weight loss process. Now, depending on what your starting point is, I'm not saying that will be enough in itself of just lowering portions, but I'm going to say that's a good starting point if you don't really know where else to start. The second thing is look at your fluid intake, because we consume a lot of calories without thinking about it through drinking different things, whether it's soda, whether it's Gatorade, whether it's juice, whether it's milk. There's a lot of calories, and it's really easy. How many times have you gone to a restaurant and you've had 1, 2, 3 glasses of sweet iced tea or soda? Like they just come and they refill it and you suck that stuff down. And it's really, right there, if you have 3 sodas, right there, that's roughly 450 calories. That's the size of a small meal. You know what I'm saying? Like a breakfast or a lunch, maybe a little bit under. But my point is, like, they add up. So you got to be really careful. So that's the first place I recommend looking. In all honesty, get on water. Water is so good for you. Cut out all the rest. You can do regular tea as long as it's not sweetened, like just regular plain tea. That's fine. You can do a little bit of non-fat milk a day. That's good too. But just be really, really careful with how many calories you consume. I'm not a big fan, and I know people will say, well, what about the 0-calorie drinks like, diet sodas or, Gatorade makes 0 now. Well, here's the thing. Yes, I still don't think those are the best things. Once in a while, sure, those things are not going to hurt you. If you have a Diet Coke once a week or once every other week, you're not going to ruin your goals. But when you just simply replace the regular with a diet and you're drinking that every day, there's more and more studies coming out showing that diet soda triggers the brain into thinking that it still needs sugar because it knows there's something off with the artificial sweetener. So it actually increases sugar cravings, which causes people to typically eat more. So there's a lot of negative aspects to those as well. But I won't go into all of that. So the things to focus on: smaller portions, look at your fluids. The next thing is try to eliminate a few boxed, pre-packaged items. What I mean by that is something like cereal or mac and cheese or something that you don't have to physically cook. You like heat up in the microwave or you boil it in some water and it's done. Those type of products are usually really unhealthy. They're usually very high in calories. They usually don't have a good source of protein. They're usually just a lot of artificial junk that's packaged in a box. So again, we're obviously surrounded by prepackaged food, right? It's everywhere. But what I'm saying is slowly cut a few things out. Maybe there's one thing you kind of eat every day that comes prepackaged. Well, maybe try to just cut that one thing out and replace it with something healthier. Here's kind of a good rule of thumb when you go to a grocery store. Most grocery stores, if you stick to the outer edge for your whole shopping, you're doing pretty good, because that's your meats, that's your veggies, that's your cheeses, that's your yogurts, your milk, your eggs, things like that. All the stuff in the center, now I'm not saying there's not things in there, but most of the stuff in the center aisles is all prepackaged foods. So it's kind of a good way, just, if you've never really thought about it, to go in and kind of examine, hey, most of my cart should probably be filled up with the outer edges of the grocery store with maybe a few products from the middle. So that's a good way to kind of just start rethinking the way you grocery shop, because it starts in the grocery store. It really does. Guess what? If it's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night and you're craving sugar and you don't have any in the house, chances are you're not going to eat it because it's not there, but you are going to turn to what's healthy. So when you go grocery shopping, don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry. That's just always a bad idea, right? Because you're going to buy a bunch of crap that you don't need because it looks good because you're hungry. I've done this. I've made this mistake. So I try not to ever shop hungry, but really try to buy really good things, because again, if you don't have it in the house, guess what? You can't really eat it. So I hope this gives you some good tips, some ways to start bettering how you eat, how you shop. And if you've gotten any value out of this, please follow me. Subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review on iTunes. That would be greatly appreciative. But also feel free to follow me on any social media platform. I am everywhere at Bones to Bulk: Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, youtube.com/Bones to Bulk. I have a great Facebook group, Bones to Bulk. So hit me up on one of those platforms. I'd love to connect with you, get to know you a little bit better. And yeah, that would just be awesome. With that being said, remember, no matter what you're struggling with when it comes to food, when it comes to your diets, you can accomplish your physical goals, your fitness goals. You've got this.